Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Plus, we unlocked Maggie on the last run. Gee, I sure hope she's a fun character to play. Everybody's favorite character. Am I correct? XJ2S 7VSX. There's no way to construct a sentence. I construct a sentence that starts with X that doesn't use the word Xavier or xylophone. I'm not trying to give you an impossible task. I'm trying to give you a task that is... Oh, I should have been able to... That one's completely my bad. Oh, sorry, I forgot I'm doing this for YouTube. A freaking Maggie 0.85 speed. I never had a chance. There's no conceivable way we could have made it out of that situation. Okay. Now that I put on my YouTube voice, it's time to get back to the rational discourse that we normally pride ourselves on in this show. Like, for example, how much is too much food when it comes to being in a movie theater? I don't have any more movie theater etiquette stories. I mean, I'm recording this right after I recorded the last one. It would be absurd if I had seen another film in the interim period. I have not. It's that pregnant pause there. By the way, what an expression. But sounds like I'm trying to hide something from you. Like I just watched the Zapruder film on a, smoky reel in my basement, an 18mm film. That's not the case. We don't have a basement. We live in Vancouver. In case you had forgotten. From me not mentioning it for 14 seconds. Anyway. Let's keep it going here. I talked like 2 episodes ago about things I wouldn't want in my house. And I said I don't want an indoor pool. I don't want a garden. You don't have a garden in your house. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want a yard or a lawn. I guess a yard is a little different. But I don't really want a lawn. I don't want a driveway, because you gotta shovel snow. But I would like a movie theater. I will admit that has stuck with me. I don't want like a 100-person movie theater. Just a little movie theater is fine by me. I also think like and this is never gonna happen probably, but a den where you had like a pinball machine and one good arcade cabinet would be sick. I'm not a pinball enthusiast, but I like pinball. If I could get one solid pinball machine, I would be cool with it. The problem with an arcade cabinet though, I feel like I've seen people, I don't know if I've known anybody personally that's owned an arcade cabinet, but secondhand, I've heard of people buying them, and apparently you just lose your luster for it pretty quickly. Like, I have no interest in owning Donkey Kong. I'm sorry to tell you that, Steve Weeby, but I'm not gonna buy your Donkey Kong Jr. machine, okay? I think we should buy a Spirit Heart if possible. Dude, so many reroll machines. I want donation machines. I think if I ever had an arcade cabinet, I would want it to be like NFL Blitz or the NHL Showtime one. Was it NHL Showtime? Center Ice? Something like that. That was NFL Blitz, but for hockey. NBA Jam would be another good one. Something you play when there's people around you could have some fun with. I know a lot of people are going to say they want the 6-person X-Men machine. I have fond memories of going to, I think it was actually called Cyber Sports World in my hometown. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it was like a Chuck E. Cheese. It had bowling alleys and an arcade and like a restaurant in it. And as a kid, it was like my favorite place on planet Earth. But then it became like a roller derby or roller rink, and then it went out of business. But anyway, like I believe it was called Cyber Sports World. That's gonna hurt. It was a lovely time. I played that game all the time there. But I don't know. I just can't get behind most old school beat 'em ups in this day and age. It's a lot of. They served their purpose at the time, without a doubt, and there's been some great ones, I've beaten Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time more times than I can count. Beaten Streets of Rage 2. I've beaten TMNT 1989 actually literally like 25 times, although it was the Xbox Live arcade version from like 2007. However, this is the longest Larry Jr. I've ever seen that wasn't on display. This is outrageous. I think I'm more of like... I want NBA Jam. That's my style, I think. I don't want, this is Ouroboros of pain here. I don't want Area 51. I'm not a big light gun games guy. I don't like arcade racing games that much because it always feels like the racing sort of sucks and you're just paying for the novelty of sitting in a chair that's sort of like a race car. Give me NBA Jam. I'm okay with that. I would love to have like a single bowling alley in my house as well. But again, now we're getting into like White House levels. I also feel like it's the kind of thing you lose luster for. Dude, Guppy's hairball is like the most common item we've had in this freaking new save file. Could be worse, I guess. It could be Ghost Baby, which is probably running a close second right now, along with Robo Baby. Like, when I grew up, my dad was always like, one day we're gonna move to like a bigger house, and I'm gonna get a snooker table. I'm gonna get like a 6-foot by 12-foot. Snooker, by the way, is a kind of billiards. I know if you're in Europe right now, you're going, why is he explaining what snooker is? Everybody knows what it is. Not in North America. It's not that common in North America. If you go to like a big pool hall, they might have like 2 snooker tables. But anyway, here at least. Unless it's like a really good one. Maybe then, but I don't know. The one, the big pool hall in our, in my hometown is called Racks. And it's basically like, yeah, it's pool, but it's also Hooters for whatever reason. And what's ironic is that I had so many birthday parties there. I don't think I ever had a birthday party there, I'm not sure, but I went to many birthday parties there. And I was always like, why is it always just the dad coming to Racks with us? But anyway, I digress. My whole childhood, adolescence, he's like, once we get a bigger place, I'm gonna get a 6x12 snooker table. I'm gonna play snooker all the time. They got a bigger place like 7 years ago. He got a 6x12 snooker table. He played it actually like a lot, and then he sold it. He was like, you know, it loses its luster. You don't find yourself playing it all that often. I think a bowling alley could be like that. A pinball machine, I suppose, is a little different because it takes up much less effective space. Ooh, a little dicey in here. But, that's where I go. I think having like an 8-person movie theater would be pretty cool. I don't want a basketball court. I don't want a swimming pool. Give me like a large screen, 8 comfortable chairs with cup holders in them. That's it. Plus, you can hook it up with Mario Kart. But the delay's never going to be right, and there's always going to be one dude who's going to be, like, too hardcore. He's going to be like, the input delay's not right, so I can't land my blue shells properly. And that guy is Austin. Moving on. No, I can't say for sure. I don't know if Austin's a big Mario Kart guy. Excuse me. He owns a Switch, but he only wants to play Zelda, which I understand. You know, there's like the meme right now. That's all there is to, no, it's not an XL floor. It's just an item over there. The only thing there is to play on the Switch is Zelda. That's not true. There's also Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition. In my opinion, the most beautiful game ever made. Graphically, the most impressive, no. But the game that, for whatever, when I play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition, I feel like everything is right in the universe. Like, everything's gonna be okay. Like, that game is like having a therapy dog in video game form. This is not, by the way, if you've been following the progression of Northernlion, you could not conceivably accuse me of being a Nintendo fanboy. I bought a Wii U when it came out. We never touched it. I mean, we touched it once every 9 months. When, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the money. Lebowski. Kaiser Sushi. Give me 5 cents, please. That's 2 cents. It's not like we can lose our progress on the shop, but still. I want that spirit heart for the next floor. Vladimir Kaiser Sushi. Anyway. Ooh. Forgot what I was saying. Completely. Like 100% forgot what I was saying. What were we talking about mere moments ago? I've totally lost it. We're talking about... This is why it's always good to have a second trip sitter in the conversation to keep you dedicated here. Cyber Sports World, arcade machine, pinball machine, movie theater, I've forgotten the rest. And whatever. Okay, that's good. What happened to it? It was there in my memory. What it meant to be will eventually... What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far. Like, is Craigslist in a big city just littered with arcade cabinets people are trying to sell? I don't want to ruffle any feathers, you know. There's like a lot of classic video games I like. I grew up in the SNES era, and I think there are some, and this is not a controversial opinion, there are some genuine classics from the SNES era. Some games that hold up. Super Metroid, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island. You know, there's some, like, sincere, complete classics from that era. Games that are not just nostalgia goggles, that are actually, like, you know, chef's kiss, exquisite. But maybe it's just my age speaking. I've gone back and played a lot of the, like, 1980s classics. You know, I played Combat for the Atari 2600. I played the original Pitfall. Played Joust. Sometimes, you know, my parents were teenagers in the early 1980s, late 1970s, you know, when, like, arcade games were starting to explode. So sometimes they'd be like, hey, we got you a Game Boy game as a, you know, birthday present. And I'd be like, oh, sweet, what is it? And they're like, it's Defender plus Joust on a single gaming cartridge. I love my parents. They were trying to bond. They were like, this is what we played as a kid. You play, like, 4 minutes of Joust. You know what you're getting into, right? Like, those Atari games are basically just mobile games with no microtransactions, which makes them usually a lot better in that regard, at least. But, except for the fact that every single play cost you 25 cents in 1980s currency, which is like $1.50 now. But anyway, I'm not going to break the circle jerk. The games are the worst they've ever been. Let's grab this stuff and move along here. We can do a lot of donation and maybe still buy a Spirit Heart as well. Dim Bulb is, Illuminated Bulb is actually quite good. What you want to do is use the bulb, use Guppy's head as you're about to finish the room. That way you get the whole room of bonus, like bonus stats. And at the end of the room, you still get the benefit out of Guppy's head. That was very dangerous. By the way, we have 2 Guppy items, I just realized. Didn't even lampshade it at all. Both of these are good. I think I'm going to take the Parasite, though, because it's better. Oh, we're not supposed to... Old habits die hard. That's what I'll say about that. And no greed. Thank you. I like the way you're working, because there isn't greed. I like to back it up. But, like, I respect the history lesson that those games can teach you. I'm just not, I don't know if those ones actually reach the point where they can, like, age into being classics. It's like movies, right? When people talk about classic movies, there's, like, a cutoff point. The earliest movie that anybody tells you that you have to watch to be, like, considered knowledgeable about movies is, like, you know, Dial M for Murder or Metropolis, you know, movies from the 1920s. That's ancient. Those are old movies. But, like, there were 30 years of movies that came out before Metropolis. We don't talk about them because we were just feeling it out. You know, it was like, you know, Man Sneezes. Video of train approaching. You know, this is from an era where it was mostly just, like, proving that the technology works. Like, you ever watch, like, your grandfather's home videos? I'm not talking about those ones, you sicko. For once, I am kink shaming. But, you know, it's always like half the time the lens cap's on, and it's mostly just about the fact that the video is basically a mission statement that says, I have a camera. That's what those movies were like in 1905 or something like that. That was actually a perfect Guppy's head play there that I will probably never replicate again. Grab this just for, you know, potential bookworm's sake. Let's go check our curse room as well. I feel like there's something to be said for that in video games. Like, one of my friends got a ColecoVision in, like, the year 2000. I don't know how this situation presented itself, but we were stoked. We were like, new game console. We played, like, 30 ColecoVision games, and we're like, this is not worth our time now. I'm sorry, okay? I can't even imagine how difficult it was to make games for the ColecoVision. You're like, we need you to put graphics and sound and gameplay into this game. You have, like, 1 kilobyte of memory storage, so, like, have fun. I found pills. They opened up my eyes, I found the pills. Life is demanding without understanding. If you can, and I'm not gonna do too much research here because I'm just giving myself more work at this point, but I welcome your recommendations for like a good Atari 2600 game that survives without nostalgia glasses. There's some on the NES. I really, really like Super Mario Bros. 2. Not the turnip one, but like the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, the Lost levels. Ooh, Cancer Trinket's pretty good. And we can use Guppy's head however we please. I think that is like, that game holds up. Super Mario Bros. 1 as well. Apart from that, I haven't played that many, to be honest with you. I think, you know, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse is pretty good as well. I'm trying to, there's got to be some other ones, but I think the NES era is where you can start to say, like, these games actually, some of them stand up. Not all of them, but some of them stand up. Oh, dude, original Contra and Super C? Yeah, okay. There's a few classics, no doubt, that even if you were born in, like, the year 2000, I'd be like, and maybe this is me becoming my parents, but I'd be like, you gotta at least try Super C. It's so good. I played Super C for the first time when I was, like, 19. It wasn't like I had nostalgia goggles on for it. Even Super C's not as good as the original Contra, but for some reason, maybe because it's easier, I kind of enjoyed it more at the time of conception, but I could be wrong. I kind of like Missile Command. That game's okay. I can't imagine, though, like, if you went to an arcade today, and I totally remembered what I was about to say now, which was that when I was a kid, there actually was an arcade in our mall, and it was a lovely time. Thank you very much for Sackhead. This is a great item. There's always this game I love to play where you got into it as like a fire truck, and you got into it, and you drove around putting out fires. It was in like black and white vector art. Anyway, I digress. Just these are memories from me at this point. Why would you do that? But it turned out, so maybe I can't complain. This is a genuinely very strong run. I'm liking it a lot. There is an Isaac's room back there we should try to give a shot as well. Probably a good time to point out if you consider yourself photosensitive when it comes to flashing lights. Lights. I want to turn this episode off. Things are flashing. Like, flashing a lot, considering that we're only on the Depths 1. Grab the speed upgrade. Happy to have it. Guppy's Paw. Dun 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 dun. Guppy's Paw. Let's go peep the... this is going to be the strongest run we've had since we started, I think. That was pretty dumb. This is... what was I going to say? We were talking about arcades. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe because it's because I didn't grow up in that era. But I like Missile Command. Space Invaders. I like the Space Invaders reboot they did in like 2009 for Nintendo DS. I thought that was a great game. That is, I wouldn't say slept on, but not talked about that much anymore. Probably because it was a remake of Space Invaders that came out in almost 2010. But it was a critical darling at the time, okay? Hematemesis is okay. I don't really want to gamble right now because I do want to try to make Boss Rush. If I could knock out Boss Rush with Maggie, I don't know what we unlock for that or for anything, but it does give me another thing ticked off the post-it note, which helps me out. And look, let's be honest, as soon as we fire one shot, the Parasite turned out to be like a very, very right decision for us here, because as soon as we fire shots, the Parasite combined with Jacob's Ladder just rips through the enemies here. They tried to stop us. They don't want you to get healthy. Okay, let's get out of this surprisingly long floor, and we'll try to get to Boss Rush ASAP. We gotta be approaching 10 wins at this point, that might unlock Shoal. Certainly it turns Mom's heart into It Lives. We'll see. You might think I should be pessimistic, and you may be right. I may be crazy. But I think we should be able to make it to boss rush if we pick the right direction on like 1 or 2 here. On our first or second try, I should say. I will also say, I think PacMan is a pretty good game. In terms of its place in video game history, of course, very important. But as like a game, I do think PacMan holds up. But I don't know, like just sort of barely, I think. Oh, you know what I was gonna bring up earlier was, you think about like, if you went to an arcade in 1980, let's say you played 12 games. That's $3. Doesn't seem like that much money, $3 for a whole day's entertainment, right? First off, that's only 12 games. I know some people, everyone was like, I used to go to the arcade with 2 quarters and I'd play all day. Come on, Dad. I don't think so. You're not Billy Mitchell. I love you, but you're no Billy Mitchell. At least in the PacMan department. Or the hot sauce department. In all other departments, superior. But, I mean, come on. You gotta acquiesce that Billy Mitchell's got the hot sauce game down pat. Anyway, let's say you spend $3. Inflation is like, on average, 3% per year. That's 37 years at 3% inflation. Is there an inflation calculator I can use for this? I'm going to check it in a second. Because times is tough here. I don't think we're going to make boss rush. I'm actually booking it as quickly as I conceivably can. Dude, thank you. Ragdoll. Mitchell is a Billy. His hair is sort of silly. Sorry, didn't mean to insult Billy Mitchell there. Come on, come on, come on! What? As far as I'm concerned, we made it. Well, at least we didn't, like, punish ourselves too much. They didn't give us the 20th second. I thought they would give us until 20:00, you know, .99. And you've broken my heart, is what you've done here, Edmund. You've broken my heart. That was super close, though. Well, you know, that gives us time to punch it into the compound interest calculator. Wait, it's not compound interest, but inflation calculator. Okay. Inflation calculator from the Bank of Canada. A basket of goods that cost $3 in 1980 would cost $9.02 in 2017? That's not that bad. You know, a few hours of entertainment for $10? That's actually, I expected it to be like $23 or something like that. It turns out that I've been under this false impression that arcade games were very expensive. I will say, though, you know, you paid $0.25 for those games back in the day. I think that with age, they get at least 3% worse every year. So they should still cost $0.25 in today's day and age. When you go to like a bowling alley and they got a, you know, Area 51 machine that's rigged up and it costs 50 cents per play, you're like, come on, guys. I understand prices rise, but this game has not changed. You know, you bought it in like the year 2000. What, do you need to get it refurbished? There's one Area 51 mechanic on the Eastern Seaboard. You got to fly him in. fly him in and pay him like, you know, $800 an hour as a consultant or something like that? I don't think so. An arcade cabinet is a static good. Game it should always cost the same as when it came out. Probably with a few notable exceptions. I will say of all the casualties of, like, you know, businesses, at least in my era, arcades kind of hurt a little bit. I was going to say hurt the most, but there were some cool arcades when I was a kid. You guys ever have the Palladium? I know there was one, like, I went to the one in Mississauga, which is near Toronto, Ontario, the capital of Canada. Now I'm just contributing to misinformation, but it makes me feel good, so, to spread ignorance about my own country. It's basically just a huge arcade Like, enormous. And then you go and you play arcade games and you win tokens or tickets on those arcade games. And you trade them in for something at the end of the day. But they had all the cool ones. Like, they had Silent Scope, where you get a sniper rifle. And then they had the one where you, like, get on it and it skis. And you actually, like, use your legs to control the game. Things that at the time, you gotta remember, we didn't know the Microsoft Kinect would eventually come out and make us very cynical about this sort of stuff. So, at the time, we were like, this is the future of gaming, but it's not quite there yet. Spoilers, young Ryan, it still isn't. I don't think it ever will be. And that's okay. We've innovated in other areas of the industry. Ah, yes, my favorite Marvel film, the areas of the industry. Anyway, those places were cool. They had, at the one in Mississauga at least, they had a Tekken 3 arcade cabinet that was actually like a booth with green screen, and it tracked your arms and legs to map to moves for the characters. It was basically like a terrible Kinect. I know that goes without saying, I suppose, but it was a worse Kinect. But at the time, I was like, this is incredible. The novelty was there. And, you know, you weren't... It didn't seem like that bad of a deal. I don't know. My parents were the ones signing the checks at that point, let's be honest. So I have no idea, to be honest with you. But to me, it always seemed like, you know, you might spend 40 or 50 bucks at the Palladium. You know, because the kind of crappy games were 25 cents each, but some of the ones that had props were $1. Dude, Jacob's Ladder, just relax a little bit. Do we know these? Pretty Fly's okay. Retrovision's okay. So you might spend like 40 or 50 bucks on 3 or 4 hours in the Palladium. Not necessarily the cheapest day out, but, you know, maybe not that much more expensive than going to see a movie at the time with the, you know, if you're paying for a few people, I suppose. Joker. We might as well use Joker right now and see if we can... Oh, okay, no, wait, we're fine. We don't need to take this because we have a 100% chance. We should have saved the Joker for the next floor, but it probably doesn't actually matter at all. It seemed like a good deal at the time. Now, like, pinball's sort of still around. Like, there's some hipster bars in Vancouver that have pinball, and that's really cool. Because you go there and you go, I'm going to be awesome at pinball. And then you play pinball, and you're like, pinball's hard. There's, like, a lot of intricacy. And also, these machines are beautiful works of functional art. But now, like, well, more stuff unlocked. We, a couple of years ago, me, Josh, Michael L. Fox, and a few of our friends went to Niagara Falls. And they have, like, an arcade sort of thing in downtown Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, but the arcade sucks. Like, it's not games anymore in the same vein as, like, arcade games. Like, I know that sounded like a ridiculous sentence. Like, the big machine, the marquee machine at this Boston Pizza arcade was, like, Deal or No Deal. So you go there, and you, like, pick a case, and then the computer offers you 50% minus 1 of what the added up value of the average value of the remaining cases, and then you say no, and then they go, you won $1 million, and you get like a bunch of tickets. But it's not really that enjoyable. There's no skill necessarily. Deal or No Deal is a game show I will always harp on, because there's no skill whatsoever involved in it. Literally, it's like dice roll the game. The banker calls you up and goes, hey, the average value of the remaining cases is $15,000. We're going to offer you $14,500. Are you willing to, you know, take on a level of risk knowing that we're trying to sucker you just a little bit? Like, it's the most stupid... Anyway, look, if you loved Deal or No Deal, more power to you. It doesn't make for a good arcade cabinet. It was like that and Doodle Jump and then the Guitar Hero arcade cabinet, where I put in $1 and then accidentally hit the green button too many times messing around and ended up having to play Slow Ride by Foghat on easy, which is just about like... That was probably the worst dollar I've ever spent in my life, if I'm being honest. And I've thrown some dollars away. Anyway, I lament the loss of the arcades. The problem is, I think people always go, we should bring them back. You know, barcades kind of exist, but maybe they're gone for a reason. Maybe they're better left in the past. What was that enemy? It was a little white circle. Maybe it's better, you know, meant as a memory of what it meant to me when I tried so hard and got so far. But it was like, it was kind of nice to have a communal space where you could like get together with like-minded individuals and play things. Now we play it in the privacy of our own home. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, we get the socializing from being online, but you know, in the arcade, you weren't going, hey, I fudged your mother, you fudging idiot, blah, blah, blah. My trash talk game needs some work, to be fair, but, you know, in this day and age, I don't know, I play PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds with the voice on sometimes, and it just makes me want to die. People said, I talked to one guy, he said, hey, do you want a piece of my hot dog pizza? And I said, no, and he didn't respond to that, but he was making some noise into the microphone that made me very concerned. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. A very easy Maggie run. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, though, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.